follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. It is Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss, Pauly Howard. We're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Big card coming up tomorrow, UFC 292, and it is a very sexy main event. Sterling takes on O'Malley, and our friend and great UFC handicapper, Lou Finocchiaro, joins the program now. Good morning, Cowboy. How you doing today?
Doing great, guys. Have a super fight card lined up for the weekend among the other sports. NFL's back, and I'm tickled to be joining it.
Yeah, same here. So you wrote some glowing words about Sterling. It's obviously justified at VSiN.com about this fight in your breakdown. I want to ask you this, though. He just fought in June. Does that factor into your handicap at all looking at this fight tomorrow?
It must. O'Malley's hanging his hat on the fact that Sterling drops just obtuse amounts of weight to get to 135. That guy walks around at 170. So O'Malley's thought is he'll be somewhat compromised so quick after another weight cut. As well, it was a weight cut for Henry Cejudo, arguably the greatest combat sports fighter of all time. So O'Malley, with the help of the organization, has kind of got themselves into a perfect position where they have no excuses. Aljo has the quick turnaround, and that to a degree does come into my thinking. The weigh-ins are this morning in another 45 minutes, and that's really foundational for how I'm going to view this fight.
Can you expand on that? And also if Sterling, how maybe the emotion aspect of this can get the better part of him?
This is such a great fight, guys, because you got East and West. And in the East, you got Lunch Pail guy from Long Island, the Longo gym, and they're working class, hard-nosed fellas. Meanwhile, you go to Phoenix, and you got a pink-haired Sugar Sean O'Malley that the organization, to a degree, has speed-ramped into this position because how popular and magnanimous his personality is. They'd love O'Malley to win this. Sterling knows that. He feels coerced into this fight, and he's upset, visibly upset. I think the only issue Sterling must protect himself against is trying to be too aggressive too early, because I do believe that O'Malley's path to victory, it's a early path to victory. It's a shin to the teeth or a spinning elbow to the temple, but it's got to be something quick. It's got to be something violent, and Sterling must protect against that early.
Okay, so then ultimately, how do you see this fight going and then ending, and obviously tied into how you want to bet it then?
So depending on weigh-ins, guys, I believe that O'Malley does catch lightning in a bottle and knocks Sterling out early, or Sterling finds a way to submit him in round 3 or 4. I don't see the fight going to decision in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
And I just believe that Sterling's pedigree, he's more well-rounded, who he's been in with, and he's got a great set of guys in his corner, hopefully keeping him calm and level, because he just needs to navigate this fight into round 3. And then I think O'Malley, long, thin, pencil-like physique, will start to gas. He's shown himself to be looking at the clock in 3-round fights. This is his first 5-round fight, first main event.
All right, terrific breakdown. Calling for a finish in that fight. How about the co-main with Zhang? You think she can finish the gal early in this one as well?
What an unbelievable! This will be the fight of the night, no question. Brazil against China. The Brazilian girl Lemos, waist down, looks like Earl Campbell in his prime. She gets all her power from her legs and her torso, and she's a powerful gal. Wei Li, the Chinese fighter, must, just like Sterling, be very cautious in the first round or two and try and tax Lemos a little bit, get her to use some energy, back her up, but be cautious. Once this fight gets into round 3, I think that Zhang, the Chinese champion, will systematically break Lemos down. And I like Zhang inside the distance here. That's a minus 120 proposition at DraftKings.
All right, the Magny fight. I've seen over 1.5 minus 160. DraftKings has 2.5 under, I think you said 130 before we brought you on. What do you think of the round prop here, and if this fight could go the distance?
Yeah, I like this fight because it's a change-up. Here's this long, loudmouth Irishman trying to be Conor McGregor. His name's Ian Gary. He's flapping as much as he can, and he doesn't have really the game to back it up. He's getting ready for a 5'10 striker in Jeff Neal, and at the last minute, Neal gets hurt, can't make the fight. Now he gets a long submission artist in Neil Magny, who's probably had more welterweight fights in the organization than any fighter in its history. Magny's experienced and a grappler, very well-rounded, and Magny gets rolled over by submission guys like Gil Burns or Shavkat Rakhmonov. Gary's a tall stand-up striker, and I think Magny's awkwardness and his ability to fight anywhere is going to force Gary into looking somewhat clumsy, awkward, and I do believe this fight goes to decision. Fight to go to decision is plus 125.
Very good. Follow the money, Pauly and Mitch, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, talking to Lou Finocchiaro. UFC 292, Saturday, Boston. This is right in your wheelhouse. A dog and a good-sized dog. Tavares against Weidman. Weidman in the 2-1 range. What do you see here?
I see here a 39-year-old Weidman that has a lot of unknown with him. He's coming back off a broken shin bone. And so at 39 years old, the question with him is he's not been that active, and he's fighting a guy in Tavares that, yes, he's a journeyman UFC fighter, but he's been active and he's fighting for his job. He's got really good takedown defense, and what Weidman, we all know, can do, and what we all know is gonna do is wrestle. So it comes down to Tavares' takedown D. I think Weidman is in a good spot here. He's a little ticked off that he's not on the main card, but we're going to get a heavy dose of wrestling. And if this fight goes to decision, this fight's in Boston. Weidman's from New York. He lives out there. I sense maybe a little hometown flavor. Tavares shipping in from Hawaii. I think Weidman, I can make a case for being a live dog.
Okay, very good. I was at the UFC Apex to watch Damone Blackshear a while back. He looked really, really good. Now a dog plus 180 against Bautista, who's obviously very good as well. I believe 12-2 overall with his MMA record. Do you give the dog here a chance whatsoever, Lou?
I don't give this dog much chance.
Okay.
I think Bautista is just armed way too complete, and Blackshear's turning around to fight at 135 a week after he just had an impressive submission last week. But I think Mario's going to roll over Blackshear.
What is that like? I mean, he just fought literally last week, and here you go again. Get into the octagon again, 7 days later, and go at it one more time.
The good news is that he submitted his foe in the first round. Pardon me. And with that, he barely worked up a sweat, so he didn't take any damage. And really, his only recourse is the weight cut, and we'll watch what happens here with him. If he misses by a couple of pounds, I'm sure they'll work something out or even make it a catch weight, but he's committed to making 135. And I think that is another reason why I like Bautista even further.
All right, Petrosky is laying 235. You're not going to lay that, but you think he wins. How does Petrosky take him out?
Yeah, Petrosky's a hard-hitting Philadelphian with really great, solid grappling wrestling. And Meerschaert's last fight was against a big, strong guy from Philly that was a power striker and a wrestler, and the guy ran right through Meerschaert. Meerschaert's at the end of his career. He's a one-trick pony, being a submission artist, and I look for Petrosky to put on the same kind of production that Pfeiffer did in Meerschaert's last fight, and I look for Petrosky to get Meerschaert to the ground and then take him out from top control, ground and pound.
What is that price?
That price is minus 110. So you can take Petrosky from a minus 265 to minus 110 on the inside the distance.
Okay, excellent. And two females go at it to start the card. Silva against Moroz. Can you make the case for the small dog here, if I'm pronouncing that right, Moroz, plus 130? Do you have a lean to the dog?
Yeah, I lean to the dog. She's long, tall, and going to give Silva some trouble with her length and striking. I've been on Silva before, and I like her, but physically she's giving up a little bit to the longer, taller Moroz as well, a decent amount of experience. I could make a case for Moroz.
Lou, you also are very good betting the NFL. Do you like anything week 2 of the preseason?
I'm an observer of the preseason. I love to see all the overreaction created by the preseason, and I try and sit back and be a sniper and maybe pick a spot.
Are you falling for the Jets hype? Are you watching Hard Knocks?
I'm not watching any of that stuff, and I tend to lean towards fading the Jets. If I could find a season total that read 10, I'd be all over that like a fumble in the Super Bowl, because I don't think they're going to get to 11 wins to beat me.
You can follow him on Twitter. He is at Gamlu, the Bout Business podcast as well. Thanks, pal. Enjoy the weekend.
Good luck to everybody. Thanks for having me on, guys, and enjoy the weekend.
Thanks, Lou.
There you go. Excellent breakdowns, as always, from him. Throw all these fights at him. Bada bing, bada boom.
So Blackshear just fought.
Yeah, last week.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, I gotta take Bautista, yeah.
He likes Bautista a lot.
Yeah. And then I like that. Petrosky, $1.10 then.
He's
inside the distance. That's by the way, the Weidman, if you just don't want to get crazy with the 5-1 with Weidman, go the distance in the fight, period. It's plus 120.
Okay.
There you go.
The
Tavares Weidman.
Another way to approach it then. And he does not think the main event's going to go the distance at all. We're going to hit the Saturday slate of NFL preseason games coming up next. One of the highest power-rated teams in the league will play their starters, but for how long? We'll tell you that coming up here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Throughout the NFL preseason, the VSiN experts are busy evaluating every team to give you the betting edge. Our updated NFL betting guide is due out later this month and will help you get ahead of the upcoming NFL season with the following: picks from every on-here host, team-specific preseason analysis, how to use VSiN betting splits, and football contest strategies. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber today for as low as $19 and reserve your copy of the guide, or take advantage of our football season special and get access to everything we do through the Super Bowl for only $199. Sign up today at vsin.com/subscribe. Yeah, the closer we get to the season, the more people we are meeting from all over the country and, well, basically the continent, getting ready and coming here to Circa and signing up for the millions and the Survivor. Again, the guarantee is $8 million. They need 8,000 people to sign up. $1,000 a pop here. You can get up to 10. And the projections, anyway, are close to 11,000 people getting in to Survivor at this point.
Doing big numbers every day.
Yep.
And even bigger on the weekend.
Okay, so NFL preseason week 2. Some games that we have coming up tomorrow. We do get 2 of the most hyped teams, I guess, coming into the season. Jaguars and Lions are playing in Detroit. The Lions will not play starters. And Jacksonville players called joint practices this week great. Multiple players said this week was great for them. They're laying 4 in this game. The total is 39.5. And Dan Campbell said, my plan is, it's another reason why we do these. I feel like you've got 2 great days of work and you banked a lot of reps. So I don't see us playing the starters this week. I don't see it. End of quote.
Jacksonville or pass. They won the first preseason game, won and covered. They were on a 1-10 straight up run in the preseason, but this will be Teddy Two Gloves, a little Sudfeld, right? Detroit focused on the regular season. And, I'll tell you, Lawrence okay, and the offense looked good to start as they scored 28 points and beat the Cowboys, which I know it's Dallas, and McCarthy certainly doesn't care about the preseason, but I don't want Detroit in this game.
I always wonder when a team goes through injuries like Detroit is right now. Now, nothing like significant right now, but you've had both receivers, Jamison Williams, he's going to miss the rest of the preseason. He already has that 6-game suspension to begin the year, so he's not going to be available till after that anyway. Amon-Ra St. Brown, then, the best weapon on the team. I think he's going to be an elite receiver moving forward. Hurt in practice this week. He will not come back to any preseason action or practice until next week. When that happens, does the coach, like always, say, my God, okay, that's enough. We just have to go out there and just get this game over with 3 hours. It's that window. Don't do anything stupid. Let's not get hurt. Please, for the love of God, no more injuries.
Yep.
Like, I always wonder, like, what they're thinking in the back of their head.
That's what I would do.
So would I.
Yep.
Every single time. I mean, you're right there up close and personal with it. So
Yep.
The Dolphins are playing at the Texans. C.J. Stroud will start for Houston. Now, again, speaking of injuries here, the Dolphins, Terran Armstead was hurt in practice. He said that he's going to be good. He needs the MRI to be 100%. People close to that situation when it happened, they thought it was done. He was done for the year.
Yeah.
That's how bad it looked right away. The tricky spot here is Mike McDaniel. He's not really telling you what he's going to do. He said that I would expect Tua to play some in the preseason. However, you know me, I'm a wild card. So the coach himself is calling him a wild card here. They lost 19-3 last week.
They were awful.
It appears to me like he doesn't care about it either.
Okay, so we got a 3-point move here because with what he said about Tua could get in there, it went from Miami +5 down to +2. You mentioned the news with Stroud coming in there as well, but then again, I like their quarterback room when you go Mike White and Thompson, and Thompson played well last year, and it was awesome in the preseason. Well, they threw 3 interceptions in the loss to Atlanta. And Atlanta was aggressive with what they did defensively, but they only managed 3 points. So this one's tough. I don't know if I agree with the move here, with the 3-point move on the Dolphins, and certainly I like what the Texans do after Stroud, that it's Mills and Keenum. So again, I did it last week. I think it'll be another second half bet on the Texans in this one.
Some of these games, by the way, have like really high preseason totals. This is one of them, 39.5.
Yeah.
Like I would like to play this game over here, but 39.5 is just too high for me.
And a new coach angle, if you're into that as well.
Yep.
Does Ryans want to get some wins and make it look good?
This made the rounds yesterday. Here is Miami Dolphins star wide receiver Tyreek Hill explaining to people how he prepares for games.
Nah, so I feel like Madden has a good tell of how good players are. So I just play Madden the night before, and I go look at all their ratings. So let's say, for instance, they had Steve Nelson and Derek Stingley over there, 2 phenomenal players, by the way. I just go get on Madden. I go to the EA rosters, then I scroll down and see what their awareness is, their speed is, and their strength, and that's how I get a good tell on them.
That's how he gets the good tell.
He doesn't watch film?
It's more than what Johnny Manziel did.
Yeah, right.
No, is he having fun or is he being serious?
Yeah.
Come on. I play Madden every night before. Let's see, I'm going to go get Stingley? Okay, I got the edge here because the speed is only an 82.
Remember Gronk said that? Then he took it back?
Yeah, he did.
You never watched film? When
Yes,
it was on
of
that
course.
Manning cast, so that's all right.
He quickly came out and said, no, I was just joking, guys.
Okay.
All right.
Whatever works.
So this is the team I was talking about before the break. The Bills, again, look at the total in this game here. They're taking on the Steelers. Buffalo coach Sean McDermott said quarterback Josh Allen and the starters will play about a quarter and a half in this game. Bills are laying 1. Total is 42.
Yeah, that moved almost 3 points, and Pittsburgh was laying 2.5, and now Buffalo's favored after this report and the news on the Bills. This one's tough because Tomlin has been a bet-on coach in the preseason. He's on a 16-4 run, straight up preseason. They won again last week. They surprised me with how much they played Rudolph last week. So if that happens again, I would say Steelers second half. But this one's tough with the move because I don't want to go against Tomlin in the preseason.
No, neither do I.
And certainly if he's going to play Rudolph that much, like he did last week, and was Tanner Morgan behind him, I believe, that would be something where I would be looking at the Steelers in the second half.
Yeah, because I think he's going to go with his guys, though, too, for a little bit here in this game. And then you mentioned this earlier. Tell us why, Pauly. The Bears are playing the Colts. Indy laying 3.5. Total is 40.5 here. Richardson is the Indy starting quarterback here. I think you're going to have to give him as many reps as possible, up to 4.5 now.
There's 5 showing.
Okay.
It has all the makings. You named your starting quarterback. You want the guy to get some time and some confidence. Fields will not play, according to reports. I don't like the rest of their quarterbacks on the roster. And you have to love what Indy then comes back with. After Richardson, it's then Minshew and Ellinger, which if I get a half out of those 2 guys, that's fine with me, right? So from 2 up to 5, and I think it has all the makings. Colts first half game, second half, every which way but loose.
Yeah, it looks like they're laying 3.5 in the first half.
And even though they got those two, what do you call it, fluke touchdowns, just abomination by the Tennessee defense, Tennessee still with an opportunity to win that game last week.
Right.
So, I like the Colts a lot.
Okay, so I think on the website anyway, DK pulled down their first halves for tomorrow's games. They still have the games up for tonight with the first halves. But this is what you're looking at in some of these matchups. The Colts were laying 3.5. It was plus 102 in the first half. The Chiefs, because of what Andy Reid said, going to go with his starters. And more on that game coming up here. But that first half number was 6.5. And for the game, it was 7.5.
I'm surprised by this. I'm playing the starters a half, and then we'll see, he said.
Yeah.
On that Mickey Mouse turf that they have, that field. I mean, that's very surprising. But,
yeah.
Can't argue with his success and what he's done. What's the other one? Okay. Tennessee and the Vikings. This is a big one here. Now, Levis got hurt in practice, so I got to see what his status is going to be. But the Tennessee defense has dominated the Minnesota offense in the practices. They also, I'd say, a little bit embarrassed by what happened, was just the touchdown to Herbert last week. It's a 2-yard pass. There's one guy in the picture. Well, he broke one tackle on a 60-yard dump.
And the same thing I thought went for the Moore touchdown, too.
Okay, right. So it's also, this has all the makings, and I bet Tennessee. O'Connell does not care. The Vikings have lost 8 preseason games in a row. O'Connell's 0-4 in the preseason with the Vikings. And it also should be a lot of Hall in the second half at quarterback as well. So I have a battle for the backup. I would like to see Levis out there, but I'm fine with Willis getting most of the reps and the snaps. I have a battle for the backup. I have a team that gave up 2 ridiculous touchdowns. They have kicked their ass in practices all week. And you have a coach on the other side who does not care at all about these games. And I'm only 2.5. Yeah, I like the Titans.
Remember last week, too, Vrabel stepped aside to not coach the game. So do you think it was a fun week for Titans players after those 2 ridiculous touchdowns?
Absolutely, right. But still, right there. Still could have won the game.
They had a chance to late,
It's a total go against the Vikings here, too. Total go against.
So we've been told Nigel Seeley is going to join the show coming up next. We'll look at a loaded soccer slate and get some of his best bets for the weekend here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Before you make your next bet, be sure to visit VSiN.com to check the current betting splits data. Want to know where the money and bets are moving every game? It's updated with DraftKings odds every 10 minutes. You can see changes in all the action. You can check out not just today's action, but future events as well. Check it out. Betting splits every game, year-round. VSiN.com. Here he comes, Nigel Seeley at Seeley_Nigel on Twitter. Always read his previews and recaps up in his articles at VSiN.com. VSiN contributor. Time to talk soccer. How are you, mate?
I'm very well. I'm very tired. I had a late night last night. I went cocktail making. I feel really rough today, I must admit. I feel very, very tired. I could do with going back to bed and have a sleep. But not feeling the best this morning, I must admit.
Normally you look like €1 million, but today I'd say it's about 35 tops. You're a little rough there, pal.
Yeah, I used to say to my wife, you look €1 million lira. And she used to think that was brilliant. And €1 million lira was about $20. If you did the conversion rate, €1 million lira was about $20.
There you go.
So you look €1 million lira. Oh, thank you. $20.
I thought you had a good tweet. Can you expand on your tweet about how the Saudi money can impact soccer and the Neymar signing and what this could mean for some of these big time superstars?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a real threat. I think a lot of people are obviously saying that. Don't worry about it. It won't be a problem. There's a lot of other leagues that try to compete and get players over, but I don't think any league has ever had the financial power that this Saudi league has have. I think when I was very lucky, obviously, to go to Qatar for the last World Cup, and the Saudi influencers there, you could feel it. There was a lot of Saudis in attendance. They saw what the Qataris had, and they wanted a piece of the action. They want the World Cup. I think they will get the World Cup after the American World Cup. I think the one after them. I think that Saudi will probably get that, especially now with these players. And the thing is, everyone says, well, people will go there at the end of their career. They're getting players who aren't at the end of their career. They're getting players at the peak of their career. I mean, Murad Mahrez from obviously Manchester City's gone there. It's a team that's won the treble in England, and he's 27, 28, so he's at the peak of his team. Neymar, obviously, Ruben Neves, Portuguese international player, Kante from Chelsea. So these aren't players that you would think at the end of their career who are going for a final payday. These are players at the peak. So, and I think once they've got a TV deal now over here in the UK, you can watch the Saudi League on DAZN, DAZN, I think it is. You might be able to watch it in America on DAZN as well. So DAZN has got the rights to watch it. They've got the TV deal, and I think they'll get more and more players, and the pockets are endless. I mean, when you consider that the Saudi royal family are worth, I think it's just sort of something like $100 trillion or something stupid like that. Trillion, and the pot to get these players is running into billions and billions and billions of pounds, not millions, billions. I don't see where it'll stop. I think they get stronger and stronger and stronger, and I think they're going to be a big threat to the Premier League. And from the Premier League perspective, I think it's quite sad from the Premier League that arguably our best two players, we call ourselves the best league in the world and the most, the power league of the world. It's a brilliant league we've got, and we're very lucky to have it. But arguably, England's best two players now play outside the Premier League. Harry Kane has obviously gone to Germany, and Jude Bellingham, who's going to be a revelation. He's now at Real Madrid. So it's going to be interesting times. I think the Saudi League will not go away. They want that World Cup, and they're going to get more and more players to make that league powerful. So they're bidding for the World Cup when it comes around.
Interesting observation. All right, take us through rapid fire, the Premier League card. We have a match today you're involved in, Nottingham Forest against Sheffield United. How do you see these matches playing out this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite a tricky card. I think the first matches of the season are always hard. I've said that for every time I come on the show at this time of the season. I think it's quite difficult to have a real strong prediction. What you do in the first weeks of the season is you form opinion on what you had last year, what we saw last year, because we haven't got anything we can go on this season. So we sort of look at teams we want to fade and get with. So if your futures are right in the early parts of the week and the teams you expect to do well, then you'll do well in your betting and the match betting. But if you've got that completely wrong, then you're going to struggle in the opening weeks of the season until we see some kind of form guide. So it's quite a difficult thing to do here. The takes from me from the opening week of the season, I thought Newcastle looked exceptionally good, obviously against Aston Villa. I think we'll know a lot more about Newcastle in the next 2 weeks because they play Manchester City away this weekend, which is the biggest game in the Premier League. We'll come on to that in a minute. And then they play Liverpool at home, I think it is. So they've got two really big matches, Newcastle, so we'll know where they are. But I think they're going to struggle when they get to the Champions League. They've got the extra pressure of playing on the Champions League with a smaller squad. They're going to struggle on there. So I think let's not get too carried away with what we saw at the weekend. The obvious one for me, from the other end of the league, I think Sheffield United and Luton are going to have terrible, terrible seasons. That brings me on to the match tonight. I thought Sheffield United were dreadful last week in their defeat at home. They Crystal Palace won 1-0. They had one shot on target in the match. The manager has publicly said this squad of players is worse than the squad of players he had last year in the Championship, which is a bold statement when you consider that they're upper league in the Premier League. So I think they're the bet to finish bottom. I think they'll probably finish above Luton at the bottom of the table. They have no goals. And Nottingham Forest are a very good side. I think they're very underrated. I thought they played quite well against Arsenal, especially when they made the substitutions, put the more attacking players on. They looked really good. They scored a brilliant goal, counter-attacking goal at the Emirates. And at home at the City Ground, they're very strong. I mean, since start 2023, I think it's about 14 matches in the Premier League they've played. They've only lost 2, and that was against Manchester United and Newcastle. So they beat the teams in or around them at the bottom. They've held Manchester City last season at home. They beat Brighton, which was a great result. And they also beat Liverpool and Arsenal. So Nottingham Forest are a very, very capable home team here. The City Ground is probably one of the best atmospheres in the Premier League. And I think Sheffield United, with all their problems, I think anything around about even money, minus 110, I think Nottingham Forest will get favourite bettors off for a winning start this evening. Amongst the matches tomorrow, I mean, it's an old favourite of mine. I've said it many times again when I've come on the show. I said it's purely a mathematical play. Wolverhampton Wanderers against Brighton. I mean, the draw at half-time. Last week, Wolverhampton started off against Manchester United in the first game of the season at Old Trafford. It was a draw at half-time. It was 0-0 and it was a draw. If you look at them last season, 15 of their 38 matches were draws at half-time. Over the last 3 seasons, 54 of 114 top-flight matches have been draws at half-time, which works out a percentage chance of around about 48%. But when you take away the matches against the Manchester Cities, the Liverpools, the Arsenals and the bigger teams, that rises up to the sort of mid-50s, so around about minus 125. You should be a draw at half-time in a Wolves match. At the weekend, it's plus 133. Statistically, that's the wrong price. They don't score many goals, Wolves, in the first half. They do a lot of their attacking in the second half. I think that will be a low scoring, but you would expect Brighton to win it because Brighton are obviously a side that I like and a team that go well. But I think purely from the stats basis, not over just a short period, that's 3 seasons of football, 114 soccer matches to use that data. So I think plus 133 is a decent price. Amongst the other games, Liverpool heavy favourites against Bournemouth. You wouldn't expect any problems there. Tottenham, Manchester United looks an interesting one. Tottenham with life of that. Harry Kane started off with a 2-2 draw against Brentford. Manchester United fortunate, I think, to win 1-0 against Wolves. Wolves were much the better side. They should have had a penalty in the latter stages. I still don't know how that wasn't a penalty. I think that's a tough one to call. Manchester City Newcastle is the one that everybody is going to watch on Saturday evening over here, lunchtime, where you are. Man City are probably one of the biggest prices they've been at home against this season in the Premier League, or last season in the Premier League match. They're around about minus 133 here, and they're getting bigger. They're drifting. There's a market move for Newcastle. Obviously, Kevin De Bruyne is not there to pull the strings. But I think Newcastle, we may have got a little bit carried away with ourselves. They have some great forwards who score goals. Callum Wilson, Isaac, who's great. But a couple of injuries to Newcastle and a couple of big matches coming up. I think we'll know a lot more about Newcastle sort of going into Christmas. But that one there, I think both teams to score could be a wager there. I think that's an interesting one there if you want to look at both teams to score, or perhaps over 2.5. But it's a lean for me. And the only other bet that I'm interested in is Fulham against Brentford. I think that's got goals in it. If you look at the team news, Brentford are obviously without their main striker, Ivan Toney. He's suspended until January after betting allegations that he had. He broke betting rules. So he doesn't play until January. So that's a big blow for Brentford. But without him, they drew 2-2 on the opening day of the season and against Tottenham. Fulham, Mitrovic wants to move to Saudi, but they won't let him go. And now he's emerged as the number one contender to take over from Harry Kane. So you've got 2 strikers who aren't one of them can't play and the other one isn't happy that he's still at Fulham. But I still think there's goals in this match. Last season it was 3-2 to Fulham at Fulham. At Brentford it was also 3-2 that time to Brentford. So big high scoring matches. 14 of Fulham's home matches last season out of 19 cashed on over 2.5 goals. And I think the market here has gone a little bit crazy on the team news. I think people have looked at these 2 strikers do not play, but there's other players on the pitch who are more than capable of putting the ball in the back of the net. And I quite like over 2.5 goals at minus 110. But I think the best bet of the Premier League, without doubt, is starting this evening, Nottingham Forest at home and around about evens to beat Sheffield United. I think that's a really good bet.
Beautiful.
Right. Yeah.
Good luck. Get some sleep. Feel better. Appreciate it.
I've got to go to a party tonight.
Oh, God.
Of course.
I've got to go to a 50th birthday party.
God.
I'm absolutely shattered. And now I'm at a football match tonight. I'm at League One,
right.
Charlton against Port Vale. I quite like Charlton there around about.
Yeah, that's good.
Money.
Okay.
Do that. You're great on Twitter
Take
with
it.
that stuff. The Notts County, I can't get it over with the picnic table and that was great.
Thanks,
Living
lad.
the life. Living the life. Take care.
Yeah.
Up next, more NFL preseason. A key thing to remember when betting this time of year. We'll explain coming up here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
It's football season. Bettors know this is where the money's made right now. No one knows football like VSiN. Become a VSiN subscriber. Get our NFL and college guides. Only VSiN subscribers get all the tools to prep for the upcoming season. Best bets on win totals, division finishes, player awards, team previews. Sign up today, $1.99. You get both guides and full access through the Super Bowl, or $19 for the first month. Everything we have to offer up your betting game. VSiN.com/subscribe.
All right, a little bit of breaking news this morning. It was announced a minute ago that the Washington Commanders, their head coach, Ron Rivera, announced the quarterback for Week 1 in the game against Arizona of the regular season. It's going to be Sam Howell. So I think was pretty expected from across the board. Jacoby Brissett is the backup. Jake Fromm's on the roster as well. It was going to be Sam Howell's gig, and today Ron Rivera made it official. They play in a Monday night game against the Ravens. We'll talk much more about that coming up after the weekend is done. And we're back here on Monday morning right now in that game. Baltimore's laying 3. And DraftKings are minus 155 for the money line. Well, so, Pauly, I'm looking right now. And you made the case for the Titans earlier. And good tweet from Buckeye Jake, who says he loved the breakdown. He's going to go money line. And as a reminder, if you're going to be betting these small favorites in the preseason, you might want to consider the money line as opposed to laying 1 point or 2.5 points, because more games are going to land 1 or 2 this time of year than in the regular season.
It's a good observation, because I was talking to our guy Teddy Covers, and he bet Tennessee money line, and made the case that the money lines are out of whack because 3 doesn't mean anything in the preseason.
That's right.
So
it really doesn't.
An interesting observation.
So far, I'll include last night's game. Mm-hmm. We've had 1 tie. We've had 2 games decided by 2 points. We've had 2 games decided by 1 point, and we've had a grand total of 0 games in the preseason decided by 3 points overall. So in that spot, the Titans, and using DK's numbers here, they're $1.48 right now on the money line. That is a 59.7% chance to win the game. Do you think they have a 60% chance to win this game? You love the way that they played against them. That's why you like them so much, the way they dominated the practices.
Yeah. And then it's going to be a lot of Hall for Minnesota as well.
Right.
And I could be looking at Willis and Levis for the Titans, and I have a battle at the backup position too.
So the other games that are in that range, Texans are currently laying 2, if you want to go money line there. Bills are laying 1 at the Steelers. You have the Packers now down to 2.5 against the Patriots. And that is it for this week. Every other game is 3 or higher. So talking about games that are below 3 right now anyway.
Yeah.
Buccaneers at the Jets. How about this move on the game?
Big move. Absolutely. I agree with this one too. Mm-hmm. Jets open the dog. They're now laying 3.5. And this is part of the handicap is Bulls, and Tampa doesn't care. Gage is out for the year. You're not supposed to see Evans or Godwin. Mm-hmm. It's a 1-6 straight up an ATS run in the preseason for the Bucs, and the Jets are on a 7-1-1 run. So other than that second half in the Hall of Fame game, it's been solid for the Jets so far the last 2 years in the preseason. And I just think you see some guys play some guys try to shore up that offensive line, what they're going to do. A lot to like with Zach Wilson, although the one horrible interception in practice, what we saw. But Zach has played well in a couple games. So I agree. It's a little pro-Jets, but mostly anti-Tampa here and anti-Bulls.
I like the Packers in this game, too, against the Patriots. They're laying 2 or 2.5 when you shop around. Total is 37.
I think we got to pump the brakes on Cunningham. I mean, a lot of hype with this kid. I mean, is he going to be on the team? What's his role going to be?
If he is, it might not be backup quarterback or third-string quarterback.
I know,
and so, now having said that, we're probably going to get a heavy dose. You never know how Belichick's going to approach this either, but we're probably going to get a heavy dose of Malik Cunningham at quarterback. But there's still, like, when you just putting Patriots to Google, like, one of the first things that pops up is it going to be Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi? Like, who's going to be the starting quarterback? Does Jones have anything to worry about this year? So if you're Belichick, don't you kind of want to see both those guys get more time? This is me talking now.
Well, we got tweets saying it's going to be Jones.
No, I understand that, but
okay. All right, I don't.
And the Packers,
I don't have an opinion on that one.
All right, Packers did. Their defense did pretty well last week. Remember, the only touchdown the Bengals scored was on defense. The Packers also are going to be playing Jordan Love. I would play him in every single preseason game to get the reps. Mm-hmm. But keep in mind, Sean Clifford.
Whoa, what a performance.
Yeah, 208 yards passing last week. That was more than the Patriots had the entire game on offense. So maybe I didn't like the draft pick. They took him in the 5th round. I thought, oh my God, that's a huge reach by the Packers. But some of these guys can turn into really good preseason guys at that position. It means something. Maybe it's one game. That's all I have to go on at this level, obviously, but he looked really good. And maybe that does continue this preseason anyway for Clifford.
All right. I don't want any part of the Cardinals Saturday night. You know, the starters are going to play a half for the Chiefs, and then Bouchel has played well the last couple of years in the preseason. You would have to fade maybe Blau with the backdoor cover there, maybe with Arizona in the second half.
How about, playing their starters for as long as they're going to. Andy Reid told the media yesterday, quote, I go with my gut feeling.
It's a big gut.
Yeah, if I pull guys early, it's something I feel at that time. It's a double cheeseburger wedged in between your ribs. is what it is.
Yeah, maybe if it's nice back-to-back drives to start, he takes them out. I don't know. Like that could be in play too.
Do you recall last year?
Yeah.
Right away in the preseason when he announced that Mahomes was going to get a little time, they come out. I think it was against the Bears, maybe. I mean, right down the field, touchdown. It looked like it was the middle of October.
Yeah. Big move on Denver again.
Now, what do you make about this?
Teddy Covers doesn't agree with it. From 2 up to 5. Darnold will start for the Niners. But again, they're betting the Broncos, and you're going to see a lot of Wilson, and they got to get this straightened out and fixed. At least get the offensive line going and give them time to prepare, time to throw and protect them. And you were concerned with how bad they looked in the first half offensively, and they should have won the game, and then Blau goes 75 yards, which also, that can't happen, and he did it in 90 seconds. But then does Shanahan care? That's the other angle for this, too. About how much do you see at Darnold, and then also it's Trey Lance, who by all reports has just been a disaster again. Every day's a disaster in practice for this guy.
I honestly don't know what to do if you're the coaching staff here looking at Trey Lance, because at some point, and maybe the ship has already sailed on this, you need that guy to go out there and show that he can actually play so you can get a draft pick in return. But what are you going to get today for Trey Lance? 7th round pick?
Oh, God.
6th round pick?
I can't imagine.
I would give up nothing for the guy at all. But would a team, if he has a good performance and then you put him on the block, would a team buy it and say, I'll give you a 5th round pick for the guy? Is that possible?
I doubt it. He's not even close to Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't it Darnold is a lock on the backup job too. The Raider game, Saturday night against the Rams. Your guy O'Connell, who lit it up, 37.5 up to 40 with the total. And surprised how high scoring the Rams game was last week. McVay does not care about the preseason. Either does McCarthy. And the Seahawks are laying 7 at home against Dallas. That's on NFL Network. This could be a good thing if you want Seattle. So expect a lot of Drew Lock in that one too. So I'm surprised how many points they scored in the loss last week. But again, Dallas lost, and they have been awful straight up in the preseason under McCarthy. So there's another big favorite Saturday night. And I do like the Saints in the Sunday night game against the Chargers. Staley does not care. And that's where the Saints, again, they played Carr. They looked good in the first half against the Chiefs.
Yeah, agreed.
Very good in the first half. I don't know what the hell the second half was, but I'm not in love with the quarterback rotation. But that, again, maybe a first half bet, like the Saints in the Sunday night game, and want no part of the Chargers.
Okay, I'm going to bring this up too, because remember how the weekend closed last week where all these games were going over the total? And we had, I think, a 7-1.
Yeah,
okay. So now look at what sportsbooks did in the market now to adjust with these totals. Like, for example, tonight, the Panthers-Giants total is 39. That's pretty high for a preseason game. Well, when you go down the board, starting tomorrow, Jags-Lions, 39.5. Dolphins-Texans, 39.5. The Bills-Steelers game is 42 on that total. You have the Chiefs-Cardinals game at 41. That game has to be because of Reed playing the starters for a full half. The Broncos-Niners game is 39.5. Same thing with Raiders-Rams. Cowboys-Seahawks is 40.5. These are, do you bounce back here? You go against it because of what we had last week, and now we're going to get the regression. We'll have more games that are, 17-13 in that range, and offenses maybe let up a little bit. I don't want to play a lot of games that are over 40 in the preseason. I can't get there with that.
I never thought I'd see a 40 in a Rams preseason game.
I know.
With McVay, but that's also, O'Connell looked great, but didn't see a lot of pressure, and it was just had all day back there to throw and pick the Niners apart.
Yep.
But that's the other thing. The Niners were a 4-point favorite in that game out here. And the Raiders took them apart, no problem.
Yep.
So it just shows it's like we're on to bigger and better things in San Francisco. We'll worry about other stuff.
Yeah, I'm also liking that Seahawks game. I'm not a big fan of laying 7 points. I'm not. In August, I can't do that. Up next.
Yeah, against Dallas, though, I wouldn't have a problem doing it. But I see your point.
Yeah. Strong reaction for what happened last night in the NFL. That's next on VSiN.